Welcome to the Moonshot Podcast, the podcast where we explore business growth, inspire innovative marketing strategies, and explore the world of company culture. Now here are your hosts, serial entrepreneurs and best-selling authors, James Philip Arbuckle and Kane Carpenter.
Do you think we are as advanced as we think we are?
Relative to what?
Just talk. Don't think about that.
That's the issue when you ask me questions like this. Is I was thinking about aliens. I was thinking about all sorts.
Ever think of aliens? I think of that artist I like, H.R. Geiger, and he did all the crazy alien sculptures, and he actually did a painting that wasn't that. It was called Cataract 2, Cataract with a K. If I ever find a opportunity to buy that thing, I'm going to.
Okay.
But I don't know if you ever saw, he did the Jonathan Davis's mic stand for him. It's like an alien mic stand or some shit.
I have seen that, yeah.
But every time I think of aliens, it's like, oh, Geiger. No, so like I had this, I don't know what I was listening to. It might have been a random Instagram reel that popped up or something from Degrassi, I'm probably screwing his name up. And I'm making up numbers again. You know, I don't ever have solid numbers on anything. But he said something like, I don't know what the hell it was. Might not have been him. But something like Jupiter's like 1,000 times larger than Earth or something. You know what? Do you know that off the top of your head?
I don't know.
So hang on a second. How much bigger is Jupiter than Earth?
My solar system information knowledge is lacking.
It says 11 times.
Okay.
Oh, no, then something else says 318 times as big as Earth. Well, the diameter is 11 times bigger, but overall it's 318 times. So whatever the hell it was, whether it's 300 times bigger or 1,000 times bigger, I started thinking about what if Earth was that big? And what's like the longest nonstop flight you can get right now? Like 24 hours?
I don't think it's that long, but yeah, it's close.
It's close. Now imagine if the Earth was 300 times bigger.
Yeah.
And then you would start to realize, like, we wouldn't have a plane. I'm sure we might find a way, maybe, but then it's like weight versus fuel. Like, we don't have a plane that could. We struggle to get, halfway around the world right now. And if we were 300 times bigger, we have nothing that would be even close.
This is true.
Like, and then I started thinking, whatever. This is where my brain goes while I'm driving around, right? But I'm like, shit, right? How long would it take you to get there by ship?
Ooh.
Like, imagine if Earth was 300 times bigger and China was on the other side of the world. Like, how long before I get my goods?
Yeah.
Well, now all of a sudden it wouldn't make economical sense to do that. But even just from like a travel aspect, and hell, you think about the old trade routes in the day and spices and all this stuff, like there would be none of that.
I wonder if the way people would travel is you just fly straight up and wait for the planet to turn under you.
Spin around it. It depends how fast it's spinning.
Right.
And I start thinking about it. It's like, well, we think we're these like technological juggernauts, and it takes us 24 hours to even get, over to Asia. Even then, sometimes you got to make a stop, and we can't get there in high speed. And even then, it's like, imagine if it was 300 times bigger. Okay, yeah. even 10 times bigger. If there wasn't strategic places to land, how would you get there?
Like to that, I mean, 2 times bigger would be painful, right? Like
even 2 times bigger would be painful, and you realize that. So maybe Earth as a whole is just it's not made us push beyond those bounds, because this is It's like if I'm playing tennis and I'm playing someone at my own level or below their level, that's as good as you get. I got to play someone 2 levels above. Maybe if Earth was 10 times bigger, maybe we're developing technologies that are really making leaps. But we don't have to make leaps, right? The biggest leap right now is talking about going to Mars. And maybe that will push technology forward. And I know this might be a strange conversation for a business podcast, but to me, this is about when you look at all aspects of business and what we're doing from an engineering standpoint, innovation, where AI is going, we think things are so advanced, and I have to think about it. It's like, well, I remember growing up in the late 80s, early 90s, and hell, I just got my hands on this computer that could barely do anything in 93. So we've done quite a bit, right? But have we? Because if the Earth was twice as big, it would still take us almost 2 days to get there by plane.
It's
That doesn't.
amazing where your brain goes.
This doesn't sound technologically advanced to me. So, and then we get into thought of like aliens and oh, the U.S. Air Force, whatever, has a video of this thing that it shoots across the sky and it like defies gravity and all understanding of physics that we have. And it's like, well, it's very arrogant to think that whatever it is we know is all that exists. You ever see a scientist try to explain what gravity is?
I don't remember, no.
They'll explain something to you, but you can't really see it. You can't touch it. We know it's here. Do you think they have a sensor out there or something that they can't? Like right now we're smashing particles together still.
Yeah. I don't know if it was clickbait, but I saw something the other night on YouTube that talked about based on like these images that are coming out of the James Webb Telescope. There are certain galaxies that are so far away that they kind of break the idea of time. Granted, I don't know if it's clickbait, but it's kind of crazy.
No, but would you be surprised? Like all these things that we thought were these like, locked in stone. Like I bet in 50 years from now, half the stuff's torn apart. Like when you think about how far away some of that stuff is, like how we don't matter.
We're getting very deep now. So based on your are we as advanced as we think we are? I did have this funny feeling, like I guess a couple weeks ago, because I mean, me and you, we had a sourdough baking thing, and I was thinking about it again, and then I thought, well, isn't it funny that in this kind of space that we live in on Earth, in this universe, that there are things like flour and things that we mix together, it makes bread, but like that's the only thing we know how to do with it. Like it was just a funny feeling of like how limiting everything is, and how interesting it is to be so limited in our existence.
Well, I remember in like the third grade that if you mix flour and water together, you can make paste. Like it doesn't just make bread.
Yeah. I'm not articulating it very well, but like we are constrained by whatever the table of elements, and then the things that we can create with these things, and that those are the only things that we can create with them, or that we found that we've been able to create with them. I don't know. It's a funny thought.
No, I mean, have you ever seen some of those biologic drugs that they came out with that they created a drug to fix one thing and then ended up fixing 5 other things?
Oh yeah.
I mean, even what's it, Ozempic or something right now? Wasn't that a diabetes drug that's like, oh, hell, we can use it for weight loss now? And the valuation of that product like went crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also my problem with any kind of prescription drugs is that, well, you always come off as like everything that from a pharmaceutical industry is well researched, we understand it, but you didn't know that it was going to do this. Surprise! It's like the greatest weight loss drug ever, and this is why I never trust the pharmaceutical industry. You can't tell me that you know everything, but all of a sudden it creates it solves 5 other issues that you never intended it for it to do.
Mm,
It's that you realize like how much we don't know. Going back to how advanced are we?
it's true. It's true. I guess on the flip side of what you just said, James, that there's part of that that's scary, of course, that we don't really know. Like, oh, this drug does these 5 things that we didn't expect it to do. But it's also kind of exciting because at least I hope that there are things that we can solve for, cancer and things that maybe are an unintended consequence of something else that we're researching. So stuff like that's exciting. But again, are we as advanced as we think we are?
But it's not exciting when you take that drug and then it did something to you it wasn't supposed to do.
Yeah, right.
And it was bad, but I have to imagine if you look at how fast things have accelerated, even last 20 years, when you want to talk about 50 years, it's tremendous last 20 years. If that continues to accelerate, and with the way AI and machine learning is going, like, is there anything that we wouldn't be able to solve? But again, it's only going to be limited to the knowledge that the AI still needs to be fed.
Yeah.
Someone in the lab needs to run a test with the lab equipment to bring something back so it's got some new, like, and imagine if we're just missing the whole boat on something, especially in the energy field. There's probably so much that we just discovered nuclear stuff in what, the 40s, 30s?
Think so?
There's probably something else out there that we're not aware of yet.
That's wild to think about. Yeah.
And it's so when I really get into is in terms of like looking down the pipeline of business, engineering, innovation, technology. It's you feel like because we get caught up in these things like Instagram and TikTok and Facebook and thinking that's tech. And you're like, well, what's next? And because those are the big things, those are the big time sucks, and you think that's tech, but it's not really. It's not tech, right? It's not this crazy stuff that's really going to change the world. It's things that eats up time, kind of like Hollywood does. But imagine how much we don't know in terms of like physics and energy and all these things. Like crazy shit, time travel. I don't even know. If you look at how we're just getting electricity around 1900, like what the hell is it going to look like in 200 years from now? So I do get excited for the world of business, looking at investments, even now looking at the semiconductor boom with just AI, right? Well, how much opportunity do you think there is in the business world in the next 100, 150 years? Looking at how far we came from like 1900 to this 2023.
Yeah, great point. Right, what does work even look like, right? If you told somebody in the 1800s that people would make a living sitting on their butts on a desk all day.
Imagine telling somebody in the 1800s that you could just show your feet on camera and make 6 figures.
Sign me up.
Yeah, sign me up. I want to go to Bali too. I mean, like, is this just the tip of the iceberg? Is what I was thinking.
I think it definitely is, right? I mean, at any point in history, we are at the tip of the iceberg for the next iceberg.
Well, that's cool as long as you're not the Titanic. But
That's true.
But I was just thinking, like, imagine if maybe you want to think really big, like this. You ever see that thing that showed like Earth relative to other planets, and as they keep getting bigger, like
yeah.
Earth is this little tiny speck, and I'm thinking, what would your like Boeing Dreamliner do on that planet? Nothing. It would do nothing.
It's very interesting to think about. Yeah.
And you realize, like, we have nothing that would actually get around that planet. Like, we would be so far away from having a supply chain, quote, on that planet, it's laughable. So are we just big fish in a small pond type of thing? And it's, how much further can technology take us at this point? And sometimes you feel like everything's been done, everything's been maxed out. And when I think about that, it's like, well, if you needed a plane or some kind of travel device that was going to solve that problem to get around a planet that's 1,000 times larger, and you had a solution for that, what would that make us look like?
Right.
And then now I get excited thinking we would eventually find a solution for that. And that tells you how much further we have to go in the terms of technology and engineering. And maybe, we did these cool things online with Facebook and TikTok and, SaaS software and all this stuff. But we're not done. Like, I think this is just getting started point. And then who the hell knows what the hell's coming next?
Yeah.
Do you ever think you could see a foldable phone?
I mean, until I saw it, I didn't think it.
Like, it's, but that's just now. What does that look like 15 years from now?
And also, I guess to your point, is that just a distraction from doing something that's actually meaningful?
Define meaningful.
Like building a plane that can actually get across an ocean fast enough.
Oh, I thought you meant something like starting a scooter company.
Ah, well.
I just trying to if you haven't heard the previous episode, go listen to the episode on the bird bankruptcy. But I'm not saying it's not meaningful. But yeah, do we not get distracted by these things that I always talk about? I don't need does the world need another service that's going to put random items in a box and ship it to you, and then they raise $1 billion for this? And it just seems like, imagine if we actually focused our energy and efforts into things. Now we still won't, but just imagine if we could.
Yeah, I completely agree.
So if I ever saw Elon Musk, and maybe one day I'll run into him. You just ran into like Jason Momoa. Anything could happen.
This is true.
I think my question to him would be, if Earth was 1,000 times larger, how would we travel around it? Like even the space rocket, right? Would a SpaceX rocket be able to get you to the other side consistently?
I don't know.
Like, I think when we go up into the atmosphere outside of Earth, we're not going that far.
Right. It's true.
And even then, it's like this big risk of like the Challenger blowing up and all these things, and it's a very risky thing. Look how much effort it takes to launch a rocket.
Right.
And if you were 1,000 times, 10 times larger, you mentioned 2 times larger, it'd be a pain in the ass. And you think of just, maybe we have a little ways to go before we think we're really ahead of the times.
What a question.
I'm excited for the next 30 years. Like, there's opportunity in business and technology to really make some leaps. And I think we're going to get there. Like, it's easy to say like AI is going to take all the jobs. We have all, everyone's invented everything that's ever been inventable. I don't know if I agree with that. I think there's so much we don't know that there's going to be a tremendous amount of opportunity for the people that have the capability. Probably in the next 50 years.
Yeah.
So, anyways, this is the random shit that when I'm driving down the street, I was probably listening to that Eric Clapton song, It's in the Way That You Use It, that was on the Color of Money movie with Tom Cruise and Paul Newman. I was probably driving down the street, listening to that shit, staring off into space, and I'm thinking about, what if the Earth was like 100 times bigger? So, yeah. And then right after that, I rolled in a Chipotle grill that I said I was never going to eat again. So,
Are we as advanced as we think we are?
Yeah, and then you know what? I got the Chipotle grill, and I'm like, we are absolutely fucking not, right? They can't even get the chicken scoop right. So, anyways, until I come up with something better, I'll see you in the next one.